This is the most challenging interview in the world. When the candidates received the exam papers, they were stunned. The exam papers were blank sheets of paper with no instructions attached. Then the examiner informed us of 3 rules. First, you are not permitted to communicate with the invigilators or security personnel. Second, you are not permitted to damage the exam papers. Third, you are not permitted to leave the room. If any of these rules are violated, you will be disqualified. The next 80 minutes would determine our future fate. After the examiner left, everyone stared at the blank paper on the table and fell into deep thought. Some suspected the paper had been tampered with. Others suspected it was just an ordinary blank sheet of paper. As time passed, a girl couldn't sit still anymore. She was the first to write her name on the paper, but the next moment she was stopped by security. She was ruthlessly eliminated, because writing was also considered damaging the exam paper. Seeing this, the others immediately put down their pens. The atmosphere in the exam room became strange. After a long silence, I suddenly remembered something about the rules. The examiner said we couldn't communicate with the proctors or security guards, but he didn't say we couldn't communicate with the examinees. So I tried talking to the person next to me, and I wasn't eliminated. This meant we could do anything we wanted as long as it didn't violate those 3 rules. I suggested we collaborate and share resources to figure out what was on the exam paper. Ruth believed the issue was with the paper and suggested it might be made of a special material that needed to be revealed in some way. She then placed the paper under a light, but nothing appeared. Jason then suggested the issue might be with just one sheet of paper, so we all tested it, but to no avail. Half an hour passed quickly and Kelly looked around the room. She then noticed the emergency backup lights on the wall. These lights were very similar to the safety warning lights in a bank and only turned on in emergencies. Just as everyone was stuck, I grabbed a chair and smashed all the lights in the room. Sure enough, the emergency lights came on. We all eagerly placed the exam papers under the lights to see them clearly. But we were disappointed again. Now everyone was frustrated. I suddenly realized that the examiner said you couldn't destroy your own exam papers, but hadn't said anything about destroying others' papers. So I took the first girl's exam paper that had been discarded and scribbled on it with a pen, but I found nothing. I wondered if the paper was an acid-alkali test, whether it was acidic or alkaline. So I tore the exam paper into 2 pieces and gave one to Jason to test with saliva. Then I took one part to the corner and tried to make the paper visible with urine, but it still didn't work. What was the truth? Suddenly, an idea popped into my head. Since none of the previous methods had worked, maybe the secret was hidden in the security guard. The exam rules didn't specify that you couldn't touch the security guard. To verify the hypothesis, Ruth reached out to the security guard.